Okay, we're going to talk in a little more detail about pixels and color. First with pixels, if you remember, our first thing here in setup is create canvas, which makes this background for us. And we have the two numbers 400 by 400. Those represent pixels, and a pixel you can think of as just a dot on the screen. It's the smallest thing you can show on a screen, 1 pixel. And so the numbers are first how wide and then how tall. So in this case, it's 400 pixels wide going across, 400 pixels tall. And a note about how we count those in the canvas and in most shapes that you're going to create using P5 or in processing later on or in many other programming languages. Instead of starting at the bottom left, right down here, where you'd expect that would be the 0, 0 point or the origin point, it's actually the top left. So x ends up being the same. The moving in the x direction, which is the width, is the same. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not really counting these, but it goes out to 400 this way, right? 0 to 400. Y is not like math class. It's opposite. It starts at 0 at the top and then gets bigger as it goes down. That can be a little confusing, but you'll get used to it. So later on, when we're using terms like width and height, we mean width means yes from here to here. Height means going down, though. So larger number in height is a lower pixel on your screen. So if I was to make this canvas 500 long, 500 tall, you'll see it gets a little bit bigger down at the bottom, right? Okay, so other I guess in terms of pixels, that's kind of it overall. We'll talk about, when we get down to some of the shapes, we'll talk about how those are used as well down here, though. Then we have colors. Colors can be represented in a few different ways, always by numbers. If you look at background, remember we talked about that? The 200 is this sort of gray color. If I make it be 0, that's black. If I type in 255, and you keep seeing this number, that's white. Anywhere in between is some sort of gray, right? So if you have a color, and background takes a color, stroke takes a color, fill takes a color, everything else, those are all the things that produce or use colors that we have on our screen right now. If you have one number, that's telling the computer, make it grayscale, make it between black and white. And 0 is black and 255 is white. So 0 represents none of whatever color you're trying to do, and 255 is the largest you could do in any color. So one number is just grayscale. Same thing with stroke here. I hope you played around with that a little bit before. Fill, though, now we have 3 numbers. When you have 3 numbers for a color, it actually represents how much red is the first number, how much green is the second number, and how much blue is the third number. You may have learned in art class, red, yellow, blue are the primary colors. That's for reflected light. For computer or projected light, it's red, green, and blue. So you can mix those around to get every different color. And if you were to multiply, so considering that 0 is actually a number and 255 is the top, it really means each color has 256 possible shades. And if you multiply those together to find the mix, 256 times 256 times 256, that's 16 million. So you can create 16 million colors by mixing these up. So like I said, if you got red, green, and blue, let's make this last one. Right now we're looking at this blue ellipse. If I make this one a little bit smaller here, I should get down to, you can see it turns green. You can start mixing these around. And you can look up the colors online, by the way, which you'll do if you want to find specific colors. We can add one other thing to the color, and that is a 4th number that represents opacity. Opacity meaning something that is opaque, you cannot see through. So something that's transparent or complete or is not opaque, you can see through. So once again, we go from 0 to 255. Let me add it to this fill here that's affecting the 2 things that come after, right? So we have, this is 255.00, that's red. If I say comma, let's say 50, that's going to make it very transparent. You can sort of see they look a little bit faded, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to move this ellipse down there. And then you'll see the ellipse through the first rectangle there. Okay? Very, very quick on pixels and color, but I think that might be enough for you to play around with a little bit.